What if I told you that you don't get what you want in life? You only get what you assume is already yours. Not what you wish for, not what you pray for, not even what you work for, but what you truly believe is already done. And the scary part is, you're already doing this every single day without realizing it. Every result in your life right now is coming from one invisible habit you've mastered, the habit of assumption. Think about it for a second. Before anything shows up in your reality, you already have an inner story about it. You assume how people will treat you. You assume how much money you can earn. You assume whether your relationship will work or fail. And life doesn't argue with these assumptions. It simply mirrors them back to you. This is exactly what Neville Goddard called the law of assumption. It's the idea that whatever you assume to be true with feeling and conviction becomes your reality. Not someday, not magically, but through a natural chain of events that feels completely normal when it happens. That's why most people never even realize they created it. Here's where it gets interesting. The law doesn't care if your assumption is positive or negative. It doesn't check if it's logical or realistic. It only responds to what feels true to you. If deep inside you assume that money is hard to earn, life will constantly show you situations that confirm that belief. If you assume that people don't respect you, you'll keep experiencing disrespect in different forms. Not because the world is against you, but because the world is reflecting you. And the opposite is also true. If you start assuming that things are working out for you, even when you don't see proof yet, reality begins to shift in that direction. Opportunities appear, people behave differently, and situations align in ways you didn't plan. But this only happens when the assumption feels real to you, not when you're just forcing positive thoughts on the surface. This is where most people get stuck. They try to think positive, but deep inside, they're still assuming the worst. They say, I am successful, but feel like a failure. They say, I am loved, but expect rejection. And the law doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your inner state. Neville explained this in a very simple way. He said, your imagination is not just daydreaming. It is the creative power that shapes your reality. When you imagine something with feeling, you're planting a seed in your subconscious mind. And that seed must grow. It has no choice. But here's the catch. You don't manifest what you occasionally think about. You manifest what you consistently assume to be true. So if you imagine your dream life for 5 minutes, but spend the rest of the day worrying, doubting, and reacting negatively, your dominant assumption is still fear. And that's what continues to show up. So the real question is, how do you actually change your assumption? It starts with awareness. You have to notice the story running in your mind throughout the day. The small automatic thoughts that you don't usually pay attention to. Like when something goes wrong and your mind immediately says, of course this happens to me. That's an assumption. Or when you see someone successful and think, that's not possible for me. That's an assumption too. Once you start catching these patterns, you realize something powerful. None of these assumptions are facts. They are just habits. And habits can be changed. Neville suggested a very simple but powerful technique. Instead of trying to fight your current reality, you create a new inner experience. You imagine a scene that would be true if your desire was already fulfilled. Not something big and complicated, just a small moment that implies it's done. And you repeat this scene in your mind, especially before sleep, when your subconscious is most receptive. But the key is not just visualizing. The key is feeling it as real. Feeling the relief, the satisfaction, the naturalness of already having it. Because your subconscious doesn't understand effort or struggle, it understands feeling. The stronger the feeling, the deeper the impression. At first, it might feel fake. That's normal. Your mind is used to the old story. But if you keep returning to this new assumption, gently and consistently, it starts to feel familiar. And once it feels familiar, it becomes your new reality. Another important thing Neville talked about is ignoring the current 3D reality when it contradicts your assumption. This doesn't mean you deny reality or act delusional. It means you don't let temporary appearances shake your inner state, because the outer world is just a delayed reflection of your past assumptions. If you react to it emotionally, you're reinforcing the old story. Think of it like this. Your current life is a movie that has already been recorded based on your previous beliefs. But right now, you have the power to change the script for the next scenes. If you keep reacting to the old scenes, the movie stays the same. But if you stay loyal to your new assumption, even when the old reality is playing, eventually the scenes have to change. This is why persistence is everything. Not forcing, not stressing, but calmly returning to your chosen assumption again and again, even when nothing seems to be happening. Especially when nothing seems to be happening. Because behind the scenes, things are always moving. Bridges of incidents are forming. People are being influenced. Opportunities are aligning. But it doesn't happen in a way that screams manifestation. It feels natural, almost coincidental. And that's the beauty of this law. It works silently. Now here's something most people don't realize. You don't need perfect belief for this to work. You don't need to eliminate every doubt. You just need to make your new assumption stronger than your old one. Even if doubt shows up, it doesn't matter, as long as you don't give it power. You can have a thought like, what if this doesn't work? And still continue assuming that it will. The law doesn't require perfection. It requires direction. And over time, as you see small shifts happening, your belief naturally grows. Not because you forced it, but because you experienced it. Another powerful idea from Neville is that you are not trying to get something. You are becoming someone. The version of you who already has what you desire, thinks differently, feels differently, reacts differently. So instead of asking, how do I get this? Ask yourself, who would I be if I already had this? Would you still worry the same way? Would you still doubt yourself? Would you still react to situations with fear? Probably not. And that's your clue. Start embodying that version of yourself now, internally. Not pretending, but shifting your identity. Because the moment your identity changes, your assumptions change. And when your assumptions change, your reality has no choice but to follow. This is not about controlling every thought or becoming perfect. It's about gently guiding your mind back to the state you choose, again and again, until it becomes natural. And once it becomes natural, everything changes without effort. You don't chase anymore. You don't overthink. You don't feel desperate. You simply expect things to work out, and somehow they do. That's the law of assumption. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's not something only a few people can do. It's a law you've been using your entire life, just unconsciously. Now, the only difference is you can start using it consciously. So the next time you catch yourself assuming the worst, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what if I assumed the best instead? What if I decided that things are already working in my favor? Because that single shift, repeated enough times, has the power to change everything you see around you. And the moment you truly understand this, you stop waiting for life to change. You start deciding that it already has. I hope this helped you. I will meet you with another golden nugget soon. Happy manifesting.